training is starting. So yeah, feel free to start the recording, Pierce, and I'll go when you start.
You're good to go.
Okay, great. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Sinan. I am one of the scorekeeping and timekeeping coordinators in Quadball Canada, and I'll give a brief training on what Quadball 1 is. I'll just share my screen really quick. So hopefully you guys can see this is the website. It's literally quadball.one. Feel free to, if you have other screens or on your phones, feel free to go there and kind of play along, or you can watch my screen as well. Um, so what Quadball One is it's a scorekeeping and timekeeping tool, and you can see live score updates, and you can check stats, and you can check other news and stuff. And you can check stats after the fact as well. As you can see, this is the home page. It has upcoming games. As you can see here, we have the Quadball Canada Nationals, some of our games. There's another tournament in the US. There are some of their games as well. You have the recent games here. There was a USQ qualifier that happened in the US last weekend, so you can see what those past games are, their scores here, and we can go into a couple more details about what these games look like. Um, but during tournament weekend, there's going to be another line on above all of these that's going to be live games, and you'll see actually these games happening live. So from the homepage, you can follow along to all of these. If you go to the events page, you can see the upcoming events. We have our nationals that's going to be this weekend here. Again, some other USQ tournaments. And if you click on the previous tournaments here, you can see all of the previous events as well. You can filter by league or search by event name, but if you scroll down as well, you can see all of the past tournaments that used Quad Ball 1. For example, we have the Eastern Regionals here that happened in November. So if I click on that, I can see all of the games that happened on that weekend. Similar to the homepage, these are this similar games, and if I were to click on any one of them, I can see all of the game details. So this is Mischief against Carlton. This is all of the event breakdowns. You can see that the game started with a goal from Evander, assisted by Andre. You can see the goals. You can see the cards. Down here, you can see who the refs were, so the refs payments and everything can happen. You can see who the flag runner was. Um, and yeah, this is the event breakdown of it. We even have the snitch catch here as well. And up here, you can click on any one of the teams, and it'll take you to that team's team page. And this, because this game is finished, it's not really visible, but there's usually like a box showing the live stream video as well. Quick link to YouTube, or you can also just click here and find that link to the live stream as well. And if I were to click here, I would go back to that event page. Another thing I can do is if I click on any one of the teams, it'll take me to that team's team page, and you can follow that team, and you can see their record and their roster here. All of the players are here, and you can see what upcoming scheduled games they have. You can see their past games, won, lost, and all the games that they played. So this is what a team page looks like. If I can just go back to that event page, and while we're here in the events, instead of games, I can click on teams here and see player stats per teams. This is going to be very basic level stats. This just goals and assists and penalties and flag catches. This is, I know, mostly chaser stats. This app doesn't really track beater stats. That will take a lot more like physical labor and watching, uh, you know, games like that. But you can also click here and see the stats per team for other teams as well. But yeah, so that's what the events page is. Before I move on, let me know if I'm moving too fast. If you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt me. But yeah, so and this is the upcoming tournament that we're gonna have. These some of these others are drafts. They're not really released yet. I have like editor like event manager access. That's why you won't be able to see these at the bottom here. These are day two games that I haven't released yet. Um, but yeah, this is where you can see the all the events, all of the teams. The discover we covered the events page. The discover page has a couple different resources for you to dive deeper into the Quadball world. It has some recently released news articles from different news resources. It's got some podcast episodes, got some videos, and up here it's got all of the leagues that are using this app. Quadball Canada's at the end here because we just started using it this year. But yeah, so that's the Discover page. If I go to the Teams page, this is gonna be again all of the teams that are registered on this app. You can sort by name or search team names here, or sort by filter by league. But again, if you click on, for example, Alberta Clippers, I think alphabetically the top team here from Canada. If I click on them, again, I can see their history and their roster. Takes me back to that teams page, basically, that we just covered. And at the very end here, you have the scorekeeper. Now, this is what you're going to be doing on the day of the event. You do not need to create an account to keep scores. You also do not need to, sign up or anything. You can do that if you want, but you don't need an account to score keep. When you click here, it's going to ask you practice game or enter code. Each game is going to have a an 8-digit code. I will give you those codes the day of the event. They will also be, I will print them out and put them at the scorekeeper's tables, but you can also come find me on the day of the event. If you don't know what the code is, I'll most likely find you and tell you before you find me anyways. But you'll click here and enter that code the day of. But otherwise, you can do a practice game here. This is just to, practice scorekeeping. So, I mean, if you want to do it yourselves on your phones while you're watching this, you can. But otherwise, I'll just do it. You can just put random team names here. Say this team versus that team, for example. So when you create the game, you will start at the settings page. This is the same as it's the same as if you would enter your 8-digit code. But as you can see, you're up here. We're at the settings page on the side. In the middle, it says pause. This is where once we start the game, this is where the actual game sheet is going to be. These are just a few settings that you're required to set up before the game starts. Um, a couple, Quadball Canada specific stuff. Blue cards are our penalty for blue cards is 30 seconds instead of 60, so you should be setting this to 30. Our flag value, we still call this snitch. The US this is app is developed by someone from USQ, so they call it the flag and the flag runner. We still call it the snitch runner. Our value is also 35, so you can keep it this way. We do not have a set score anymore, but the set score is toggled off. Maybe at the secret floor starts, it might automatically turn on, but you can always come back to the settings after we start the game. I'll show you that as well. But yeah, so our secret floor is also 20 minutes. What that means for those who aren't familiar with the game is we're gonna play for the first 20 minutes and then we're gonna have a timeout at the 20-minute mark. And during that timeout is when the snitch runner goes on the field, and after the timeout is done, we start playing with the snitch and the seekers on the pitch. So that that time for our rule set is 20 minutes, so we can keep this at 20 minutes. If that was different, we could set this up in another way. The flag runner, of course, at the beginning of the game is not released. Once we start the game, this you will be able to toggle this on, so don't worry about that. This setting is to overlap the game time. So this app, of course, it's a web-based thing, so it sometimes lags, it sometimes, freezes. It's not 100% reliable, so both you will have another scorekeeper that is keeping score on the score sheet with you at the table anyways, and you will also have another timekeeper keeping the time on their phones or with a stopwatch at the table with you. So there might be like some mismatches between those, and if you notice that the app froze or for any reason you fell behind, or for example after a stoppage you forgot to continue the the game time, because that happens, and don't worry, it's fine. You can always come here at the settings and you can reset the timer to whatever you want the timer to be. And please keep in mind that this app also allows us to put a scoreboard on the live stream. So if you're on the live stream pitch, whatever you put on this app is also what the live stream audience sees on the live stream scoreboard. So if you reset the clock to zero here, then they'll also think that the so please be mindful of that. Um, Finally, the stream overlay swap is we as you can see from the if you remember the previous events page where we had all of the day one games already set up. Say we have like team A on the left and team B on the right, but the way the camera is set up, or like after the coin flip before the game, they decided that team B is going to be on the left and team A is going to be on the right, and the 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 live stream scoreboard is showing the opposite way of what the actual game is. So if you click stream overlay swap, it will basically swap the positions of the teams in the scoreboard. So please make sure to check this before the game starts and swap these teams before you start the game. So before I start the game, any questions so far? Is all of this making sense to everyone? Are all the settings okay? Is everything else that I talked about okay? I just want to give a quick pause to allow for questions.
Quick question, Sanan. For the stream overlay swap, you have this team on the left and then that team on the right. Does that mean that's the default? That this team
Yeah,
will be on the left and that team will be on the right? Okay,
yeah.
so
This
if
this
we,
this is the default. So in real life, if that team is on the left and this team is on the right, then you click stream overlay swap, and it will not actually flip on your score sheet, but it will swap on the live stream.
perfect. Okay, thank you.
All right. So once you set all of these settings up, you're gonna start the game. And as you can see, I'm gonna click start game, and then it's gonna take a couple seconds for it to get to this page. And once it is here, the the clock starts, but it took like a few seconds. So I recommend starting the game and then pausing right away. And then once brooms up happens, or like once we start the game, then you can pause and unpause, or like and start the game that way. So as you can see, when I click anywhere in this box, it's gonna pause the timer, and when I click again, it's gonna keep going. For those that aren't familiar with the game, so it's gonna be the head ref is gonna have the volleyball in their hands, and they're gonna do a toss like in basketball. So it's gonna start with the with a toss to the air, and they're gonna also yell brooms up at the same time or blow the whistle, and that's when everyone's going to start running towards the center and start the game actually. So that's when you start the game, and every time you hear a double whistle, so a tweet 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 tweet, they'll probably repeat it a couple times. So if you hear that, pause the game from here, and once the ref wants to continue the game, they will say remount, and that's when Everyone gets back on their brooms, and then they're gonna blow their whistle. And once you hear the continue whistle, then you can continue the game here. Now, once any team scores, you can click on this upper arrow to give them a goal. Um, when the ball goes through any of the hoops, the refs are gonna put two hands up. I mean, the assistant refs and the goal ref is also gonna do this, but wait for the head ref to do this and blow the whistle once, like one long whistle and two hands in the air, similar to like American football. That means that's a good goal. When you hear that, if this team scored, for example, you click here and give them a goal, and you put in who scored these are jersey numbers. Say number five scored and number three made the assist. You put those in and you save. If you don't remember anyone say that team scored this time, if you didn't see it, don't worry about it. You can just click save and move on. After the fact, you can tap here on that goal to edit. Say, oh, you realize after it was number nine who scored, and it wasn't assisted, so you can just go and do that. Even if you put these in, you can still click back on them, and then you can fix it if you made a mistake, you can go back and fix it always. And like I said, there's going to be another person scorekeeping with a sheet next to you, so you guys can help each other out and double check your facts that way. And if you make a mistake, don't worry about it and move on. You can fix it later. And even if you don't fix it, I will go back and fix all of the stats for all the games after the fact, anyways, after the tournament's done, maybe Monday, Tuesday. So don't worry about it. This is a very forgiving app. If you miss something and if it's your first time scorekeeping, you are gonna miss stuff, and that's okay. That's how we all started. Um, so those are the goals. Say somebody else scored, but then you realize the goal was not good, the goal is canceled, or you accidentally hit your hand here and you gave some team a goal that you shouldn't have. Simply just click the down arrow and that last goal is deleted. So you can delete goals that way. Um, as you can see, this setting up here, it said pause, remember when we're before we started the game? Now it's live, but the settings page is still here. So if I go to the settings page, the game clock is still going, but I can still adjust settings here if I need to. So if you're like, oh, I forgot to set the flag veil to 35, it was 30, you can go back and fix this here in the middle of the game. I really highly recommend pausing the game first, or like doing this in a stoppage and then going to the settings. Now it's paused. If I go back and continue the game, that's when it's going to continue. But even if you forgot to set up any settings, you can set them up in the middle of the game, or you can change stuff in the middle of the game as well. Sometimes when there are stoppages, a couple things can happen in a stoppage. A team can get a penalty. So say this team got a penalty. So if you click on this penalty icon here, they might get a blue card, a yellow card, a red card, or an ejection. Whatever card they got, you click on that icon. Say it's a blue card, and it's number five who committed the foul, and you put in whatever the reason of the blue card was. You can either write stuff here yourself, or there are other quick suggestions here that are common cards. So you can just click, for example, delay of game, and you submit, and now that card is added to the game events. And there's a timer here. Remember, we set our blue cards to be 30 seconds in the settings. So what's gonna happen is when I continue this game, that card's 30-second timer is gonna start counting down. So you know when to release that player once their 30 seconds is up. Um, for those unfamiliar with the game, for blue cards and yellow cards, they have their timer, but if the other team scores before their timer is up, the player is still released from the box. So you can let them go earlier. Well, this has only 2 seconds left, but so blue cards are 30 seconds. Let's say, for example, that team got a yellow card this time for well, illegal contact, push it. These are the quick suggestions. Say number 7 got a contact for third dodgeball cycling, which is not one of the quick suggestions, but I can put it in this way. I submit it, and that appears here. And once I start, again, its timer is going to start. Don't worry about this one. See, the app makes silly mistakes like that. But if this team scores before that team's timer, this 1 minute is up, you can release that player this way. And also in person, you have to tell that player you're released because the other team scored. Um, Blue cards don't stack, and their penalty time is 30 seconds. And again, if the other team scores, they're released. Yellow cards are 60 seconds, and 2 yellow cards make an ejection. And yellow cards also, when the other team scores, the player is released from the box. But red cards, the penalty for a red card is, say they did a excessive head beat. Red cards penalty is 2 minutes, and even if the other team scores, this player is not released until this 2 minutes is up. So wait for this timer to be up until you release that player, and then you can release them. It's always good to give them, like, they will ask you how much time is left on the penalty. You can look here to reply. If I pause the game for another stoppage, this timer also pauses. If I continue, this timer also continues. Um, it's always good to give them like 30-second, 15-second warnings and then a countdown in the last 10 seconds, and then you can release the player. Again, you can click release here and then they're released. Teams can take timeouts. Oh, sorry, before I move on from cards, like I said, 2 cards make an ejection. But if I, for example, here on that team, number 7 got a yellow card. If I give them another yellow for something else, contact from behind, it's a beater card, that's a chaser card. But anyways, let's say head beat. If I give them another yellow, it's gonna just show up as another yellow because other rule sets have sometimes 3 yellows adding up to an ejection, or other rule sets. So what I want you guys to do for this rule set is, if somebody got a second yellow card and they're ejected, give them still that yellow card and whatever that reason is, and within the same stoppage, give them an ejection, and for the reason, say second yellow. Okay, so we know that why they got ejected. All right, for the sake of this, I'm gonna release this player. Whatever. So another thing that can happen in stoppages is teams can get timeouts. So let's say this team got a timeout. You just click on this timeout icon, and the timeout timer is 1 minute. And what happens at timeout is, again, teams go back to their benches, and then you can start this timer from up here. Now, as you can see, this 1 minute timer has started, but the game time is not continuing. This is, so that the team can use their timeouts, and yeah. So once this timer is up, you'll tell the head ref. It's again good to give them a 30 seconds remaining, 15 seconds remaining warning. And then once this timer is up, you tell the head ref that it's over, and they blow their whistle to get the players back on the field. And when they start the game again, you start the clock again. All right, while we wait for this timer, are there any questions so far? Is everything clear in the scorekeeper section of things? Cool. Um, then I'll move on to what happens in what we call snitch on pitch SOP. So after 20 minutes, let's just, for the sake of the argument, let's say that team scored another goal here. Doesn't matter who scored. So our score is 10-20. As we saw in the settings, our flag value is 35 points. Um, like I said, this is to overwrite whatever the game time is. So, for example, here, if the actual game time is like 6 minutes, but you miss 30 seconds, you can come here and say 600, and you set the timer to that, and that's when what the timer goes up to, and then it's paused. So you can continue the games that way. What I'm gonna do to show you what happens at 20 minutes Seeker floor, because we set it to 20, I'm gonna set this timer to 1945 and we'll wait 15 seconds. So game time is 1945. So once it hits 20 seconds to 20 minutes, what happens in our rule set is we give them we give them again warnings being like, 17 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes, and then you count down from the last 10 seconds or so. And in our rule set, the game stops exactly at 20 minutes. The ref will blow their whistle. Um, some other rule sets let you play out the last possession, but we don't. So that's why the timer keeps going. But I want you guys to pause this once it hits 20 minutes. Again, if you're off by a couple seconds, it's okay. Similar to the timeouts, the intermission also has its own timer. So again, you can start that timer here, and it'll start counting down that timeout. But we can get rid of that for now for the sake of our training. We do not have a set score in our gameplay. Um, some other rule sets do, but it's a little bit confusing our end game. So I'll try my best to explain what happens. Um, the flag is called the flag when if the snitch is worth 35 points. Um, if the snitch is caught between minutes 20 and 25, so within the first 5 minutes of it being released, after the snitch points are added, um, the losing team is asked whether or not they want to continue. So if this team were to catch the snitch now, actually, let's demonstrate that. So when I continue the game continues the same way. When I pause the game, in addition to the penalties and timeouts, this timeout doesn't show up here because each team has one timeout per game, and since they already used theirs, this is gone. In addition to all of those, you will get this flag catch here. So if you click on that, say team A or like this team caught, and the catching seeker's number is, for example, 5, and you confirm that catch, they were their score was 10. Now with this 35 points, their score is 45 to 20. So if this happened within the first 5 minutes before 25 minutes, that team is asked whether or not they want to continue playing. If they say no, the game ends there then and there. If they say yes, we continue playing until 25. If nobody catches until 25 minutes, again, I want you to do a countdown with the other scorekeeper and timekeeper at the table to that 25-minute mark. If this is not caught at 25, we keep going. If they're caught between 25 and 30, so in the next 5 minutes, whoever catches, whatever the score is, if a catch happens, the game ends there. Um, if it's not caught until the 30-minute mark, the game ends at 30 minutes. The game ends without a catch. The games can end without any catch. Um, but yeah, again, the 25-minute mark and 30-minute mark, I want you guys to do countdowns of like 1 minute remaining, 2 minute remaining, 30 seconds remaining, and then the last 10 seconds you count those down. uh you know all, you basically count it down live. And if a catch happens, don't jump to the conclusion and appoint them a flag catch right away. For example, goals, you can act a little bit quicker, but after a catch, usually the refs huddle and they talk for a while to see whether the catch is good or not. And if the catch is good, the ref announces what the if the that the catch is good, and they will hold both fists in front of them and pull their arms down, as in like a pulling motion. So once you hear that announcement, then you can uh, give the flag catch to a team. The same goes for cards. If a card happens, the ref stops the game. and they have to yell and announce to the entire pitch, yellow card, number 7 for illegal head beat. That's how you know who's the what the number is and what the color of the card is and what the penalty is. So, and if you don't know, like I said, you have two other people at the table with you, or you can quickly ask an assistant ref or the head ref before they continue the game about what the card is. And again, if you miss similar to the goals, you can click on the cards and fix these as well. Just one quick thing when you're fixing goals or cards, if you click away, it'll click away, but it won't save. So if you make a change, please click save here. And so that's the flag catch. Again, you can edit who caught. And if you want to delete the flag catch, you can delete it from here. I think we covered everything here. I know the end game is a little bit tricky for people who haven't played, but I'm hoping that um, the ref schedule allows for people who have played the sport before to be on the at the table with you. And yeah, before we move on to ending the game, any questions here? Is everything clear to everyone?
Hi, Sanan. Just want to quickly pop in and say no questions, clear as day. And there is going to be people matched enough. So nobody has to worry about being on their own and not being with experienced at their side.
Great, sounds good.
Quick question, Sinan. Sorry.
Yeah,
The update that says score, should we just not press a confirm, just leave it alone the whole time?
yeah. I think if you say confirm, it'll show as at score is 0. Um, if yeah, just you can leave this unattended. You don't have to do anything to it.
Okay, thanks.
If we did have a set score, you could just toggle it on here and you could put it in whatever the set score is and it'll show up like this, but it's not we're not a set score league. In the settings page, I think I talked about the cards already, secret floor, stream overlay swap. These again you don't have to touch. These two are this intermission timer is the 20 minutes there a timer started showing the intermission. That's what this is. It automatically toggles on, and then once the timer is done it turns off. You saw that each card and each penalty and the timeouts and whatever, they have their own timers, but if for any reason you need an additional timer, you can turn this on at any time and it'll show up here and you can start the timer. You can pause the timer, you can set it to whatever value you want, say 10-second timer for any reason. It'll just appear here. If you need a timer at any point, this is what you go to. And live edit lock, you don't have to worry about that. It's once the game is concluded, it'll lock this on so that, users like you guys cannot edit anything, but moderators like me can edit stuff. Cool. So if everything is clear for the regular game stuff, once it's time to end the game, again, once you pause it, you go up to the settings page and click end game here. So once you click this, it'll ask you to confirm everything before you finalize the game. This team, that team, their scores. There's going to be team logos here. You don't have to click this concede button. You can leave this blank. Game time, you can overwrite it here. Like I said, for example, if there is a catch before 25 minutes and the teams decide to continue playing, the game should end at 25 minutes exactly. If you finish, if you pause at 25:03 or something, you can come here and set the game time to exactly 25:00. But if not, don't worry about it. You can write the names of the head ref, the snitch runner, and they call it the lead assistant ref, but there's going to be one of the assistant referees become the snitch ref and run around with the snitch once the 20-minute period starts. So you can write their names here, and we usually have 3 more assistant refs. There's 2 more slots here, but you can write one of their names here and the other two's names here. This is important because this will help Quadball Canada make the ref payments and the snitch runner payments to them. It also helps us keep track of who refed which game. Um, like I said, there's going to be another scorekeeping with a keeper with a score sheet at the table next to you, keeping score, doing basically the same thing, but at a table. So at a piece of paper next to you. So if you click here, if I were to click it, it'll ask me to upload a PDF or something. But if you click this on your phones, it'll turn on your camera and you'll be able to take a photo of that piece of paper quickly, and so that we can double check everything and make sure everything is kept track of correctly. And once you have all of those, then you click submit final results and the game is finalized. Now, because this was a practice game, it's not going to show up, but if in real life this was a real game, you'd go back to your home page and you'd see the game in this recent games section here. And while the game was live, if any other user logged in, they would see it at the live games section there. So this is, for example, from last weekend's USQ qualifier, New Jersey Dice versus Boom Train. See here, you see the live stream footage here, but basically this is what you're filling in for the game that you're reffing. Cool. I think I covered everything that I wanted to. Um, if there are any questions, please let me know now or later as well. My name is Sinan. I play for Mischief, the green team. I wear number 34. And like I said, I will be around. I will always be. I specifically asked not to volunteer or ref between games so that I can troubleshoot for Quadball 1 stuff. So I will be around if you have any questions. I will give you the 8-digit codes that you need to score keep the specific game that you're scorekeeping for. I'll have them printed out in the sheet, and I'll also be there in person to tell you if you need them. But yeah, this is what Quabble One is. I hope it was helpful, and yeah, I'll open the floor for questions once again. All right, I think yeah. Seems like there are no questions. Like I said, it's a very straightforward tool to learn and use, but it might sometimes freeze up and you might miss stuff, especially if it's your first time scorekeeping. It's okay. It's a very forgiving platform. You can go back and fix everything. And even if you don't, I will probably go back and fix stuff after the tournament's done anyways. But yeah, thanks. Thank you guys for coming, listening to the training, and hope to see you guys there this weekend.
Thanks, Anon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anan.
All right, Pierce, I think you can stop the recording if you haven't already.